Welcome to episode 21 of the Backstage Knits podcast. My name is Catherine, and you can find me on Ravelry as Backstage Cat Knits. There's also a Ravelry group for the podcast, which you can get to by searching Backstage Knits Podcast. I'm also on Instagram as Backstage Cath. Today is Tuesday, October 11th, 2016, and I'm coming at you from my apartment in beautiful downtown Hartford, Connecticut, where there is some road construction, so apologies for that. I'm just going to talk over it, and hopefully it's not too loud or distracting. Just started just as I was sitting down, so hopefully it'll be a little bit on and off, and we can have some peace and quiet. There's always going to be noise construction just because of street noise just because of where I live, but it looks like it's especially bad today, so I'll just talk loud, and hopefully it's not too distracting. Just a quick reminder that I've got a giveaway going on. I forgot to bring the skein with me here, but it's for a gorgeous skein of Hey Lady Hey worsted merino in the Pumpkin House colorway. And in order to enter that giveaway, which will last until the end of this month, October 31st, because that is kind of Halloween themed. Now it's very beautiful orange now that I think about it. So in order to enter that giveaway, go to the podcast group on Ravelry, and in the thread for this giveaway, answer what is your favorite place that you've traveled in honor of my recent trip to Spain. Alright, so I've got a lot to share with you today. I have 3 finished objects, so that's really exciting, and I've got 2 works in progress. Obviously I've got a lot more actual things on the needles, but didn't really work on anything else. I was pretty monogamously knitting over the past couple of weeks, just kind of on one thing at a time, so not a whole lot of progress to share, but lots of finished things off the needles. So that's exciting. Today I am drinking some orange cinnamon black tea from Market Spice in Seattle. I talked about this tea on like episode 2 or 3, so it's delicious. Alright, well, finished object. Let's start with the biggest and most obvious one, which you can see around my neck, and if you've seen the past couple episodes, you will recognize it. This is the Pipolo shawl by Megan Schmaltz, and it was in collaboration with Sherry of Pipolo Fields, who's an amazing yarn dyer who I've used before and will use again. So I finished this, I think I actually finished the bind off a week ago, last Tuesday night, and just blocked it over the past couple of days, but it came out beautifully. It uses Pipolo Fields Skinny Mini, which is a single ply merino yarn, and it's colorways that were specially dyed for this knit along, which is the Scott is the kind of beige, the natural color, and Sherry, which is the pink with speckles. I'm imagining these colors, all the colors, were named after people in Megan and Sherry's lives that were important to them and like embodied love, and so I'm imagining that this is based off of Sherry and her husband. So I really like how this feels. It's very kind of light. It blocked out very, very airy with all this lattice section in here. And I like how it looks a lot. I didn't know if you noticed when I had it on, but the ends are not quite as long as I want them to be over here. There we go, you can see it a little better. I found that I've now made many, many shawls. I've made kind of the asymmetrical triangle shawl, the standard triangle shawl, the semicircular shawl, I can't do that one with my hands, and the crescent shaped shawl. And I think I like the asymmetrical triangle and the crescent a little bit better than the normal triangle and the this one, the semicircle. So just because I like the ends to be a little bit longer, because I always feel like when I wear either triangle or semicircle that these are kind of going to fall off. And I mean, it has happened to me, and you've got to have it really tight around your neck, and sometimes I like to wear it, you know, a little bit looser around your neck, but if I do that, these ends are kind of funky. So not really a problem, just, you know, something that a personal preference. I mean, it's lovely, and it's really lovely around your shoulders, so you can kind of get that lovely drape and see all that nice lattice work and stuff. I absolutely love the flex in the pink. It's I think really subtle and beautiful. Where it's not variegated, it's not crazy, it's mostly pink, but you have just some really beautiful moments of speckle and color. And it's single ply, so it's so soft. It's so soft. I used almost all of the skein of the pink, the sherry. I think I only have about 4 grams left. And I used only 73 grams of the Scotch. I did this on size 6 US needles, which is a size above what the pattern recommended. It has this really cool bind off. I'm forgetting the name of the bind off, but essentially you make like these little loops. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Here, let's see. Get it. It's a little bit hard to tell just because of the way I blocked it out, but there's these kind of little like loops. And then she suggested spiking out every 10th of them, which I think I did. It was a little bit hard to count as I was blocking it out, but it's a really cool bind off, and it's a very, very stretchy edge, which for me has been difficult. It does take a long time because you essentially have to work each stitch like 4 or 5 times to bind off one stitch, but I like it a lot. I may use it again. It adds a nice little decorative edge to the edge of the shawl as well. Now I have a bunch of yarn. So I've made several shawls with single ply yarn. And it just kind of so happens that I think all the colors work really nice together. So here we've got 3 one-of-a-kind colorways from Madeline Tosh Merino Light. I use these 2 to make my Zoria Advent Calendar shawl, and then I use this one to make my Curious Handmade Mystery Knit Along Summertide, I believe was the name of that shawl. And then I also use this for that shawl, which is Begonia Leaf. And then obviously the sherry from this shawl that I'm wearing now. And altogether I've got about 200 yards of single ply yarn. So if anyone knows a good project where I could use 5 colors, I've got about even amounts of each color and just under 200 grams, not yards, grams. So if anyone has a good shawl pattern, I think they would look really cool together. If anyone has a good shawl pattern for using leftover single ply sock yarn, or not sock yarn, fingering weight yarn, let me know. Alright, we're going to put this back on the way I want to be wearing it. It may come off a little bit later on. I just want to say that this had really interesting construction. I think I've said this before, where you only increased, I increased 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the entire shawl. Where, you know, there's a row that was just kind of plain increase. You can see just this eyelet section here. And then the rest of the shawl, so like all of this section was knit using the same number of stitches. Which I will say was very nice getting to the end, because it meant that down here I didn't have 450 stitches to contend with. I had the same number that I had earlier on, but it did make blocking it a little interesting, and just as you were knitting it, the shape felt a little odd, but I think the end product is quite lovely, and I will be taking, I think, good pictures of it soon. So heads up for that on my projects page. Feels good to get that one off the needles. I've got like 4 or 5 in progress shawls, so while this end lattice section did kind of feel like it was taking forever, it came out beautifully. I really love just, it's soft and pretty and very just neutral and lovely. So there's that. All right. The next finished object you've also seen before. These are mine slightly stretched out because I wore them yesterday and they got very stretched out. Monkey Socks by Cookie A. Oh, look at these gorgeous things. They came out so nicely. I knit these using Hedgehog Fibers Twist Sock, which is a 80% BFL, 20% nylon, in the Fly colorway. And it's just gorgeous. It's this like mint green with these flecks of like neon green and pink and blue. They're so nice. This is my first time knitting the monkey socks. I added an extra stitch, which maybe with the better see here. Which you can kind of see, I wasn't smart about it. I just added a knit stitch without really reading the pattern. It probably would have been better if I added, the extra stitch was a purl here and a knit, here. But it adds a little something to it, I think. So I'm not upset about it. I really like this monkey socks pattern. It's surprisingly easy to memorize, even though it is 11 rows. I didn't think I would be able to, but by the end of the second sock, actually, really by the foot of I guess I knit these not bad. Yeah, by the foot of the first sock, I had gotten it memorized. So toe down, I did the heel flap and gusset as written in the pattern. So I did slightly different because I did increase the number of stitches, so I just had to play with that a little bit. I think I put the mods on my project page, maybe I didn't. 12 rounds of 1x1 twisted rib, and I did my standard toe from the Rose City Rollers because I like it the best. So yeah, there is that. I would definitely knit monkey socks again. I think they look really good with this kind of speckly yarn. It was written for variegated yarn, but I think they play nicely with the speckles. It's just enough pattern to keep it interesting, but you don't really lose anything because there is a lot of speckles. That sometimes I think in a more detailed pattern it might get a little bit crazy, but this is the perfect amount of pattern. The one other modification I did make was I knit 4 repeats of the round as opposed to 6 as written in the pattern for the leg. I didn't want them. I don't like my socks super high, so I found that about 60 rounds is just about too high for me, and it would have been 66. So I decided to go a little bit lower. Plus, I wanted to finish them sooner. I started these socks in Spain, so feels good to be done with those. Nothing much else to say about them. Hedgehog Fibers is amazing. I'd heard such good things about them, and you kind of go like, is it really worth it? Is it worth that money? Is it worth the hype? And I think the Hedgehog is. Just the colors are beautiful. The yarn is very soft, easy to work with. I didn't have any problems with splitting or tearing or anything like that. And just every new stitch is like, ooh, what color am I gonna get next? So that was super fun. Definitely worth the hype. If you can find it or can afford to pay for it to get it here from Ireland, where they're based, I definitely recommend doing it, and I definitely recommend this pattern. Coquille is an amazing designer. I was at the library the other day when I should have been studying for a test, and I just was looking in the knitting books, and I didn't have my library card needs to be renewed, so I didn't. It's hard for it to have to do it in Hartford. It's a whole big thing. So, but anyway, I saw her like sock construction book, and just some of her patterns are so like intricate and cool. And so anyway, highly recommend all parts of this project would knit again. Alright, I am like zooming along today. Talk fast. Need to slow down. Now for a project you haven't seen before unless you follow me on Instagram, in which case you've seen it, but not the podcast. So, you will remember from my last episode I discussed the lovely K2 tie yarn together from All You Knit Is Love, which aside from being a yarn company is also a store in at least Barcelona and perhaps elsewhere in Europe, although I'm not really sure. And this yarn is 70% wool, 30% milk. So I did purchase this yarn in Barcelona when I was there a few weeks ago, and I wanted to knit with it. So I made a little hat. This hat is from it was a free pattern Ravelry called the Lopi Hat and Knits by, I read her name before, but I forgot it. It's on my project page, and I'll put it in the show notes. Such a very, very simple hat. This is bulky yarn with just this really cool cable. I should probably hold it so you can actually see it, not just talk about it. It's a little bit dark, so it might be hard to see, but it's just a very simple kind of braided cable. And there is that. This yarn is really neat. It's like very silky. I think the milk content makes it so. So, you know, it kind of is a little slouch when you wear it just like that. But if I roll the brim up and pull it down, I get this nice, lovely, warm hat. I think I look a little bit ridiculous in hats, but they're good in the winter for keeping one's head warm. So I really like this. I don't think well, actually that's a lie. I did make a cable project. I made the Celtic Rainbow socks. So this was my second cable project, but definitely the most cables I've had to do, I think, because I think there was 9 repeats, 9 cables, as opposed to the Celtic Rainbow socks, which is just 1 on each sock. So definitely more. I did add 1 repeat of the cable pattern, which I think is 4 rows, just to have it be a little bit taller, because I do like to wear the brim rolled like this, and I think, you know, it probably just would have been enough if I had taken out, you know, with the amount of slouch I have here, it would have been enough, I think, to take out the 1 repeat and have the hat be like that. But I also want to use up as much of the yarn as possible. So now I have hat hair because I put it on. That was silly of me. But yeah, definitely like I said, the yarn is super silky. It's really soft and nice. So there is that hat. Simple cabled hat. Again, the Lopi pattern, and it was a nice memory to knit up this yarn that I got in Barcelona. So my mom was like, "You knit with it already?" I'm like, well, yeah, like what? Just I can sit and look at it, which is fun, or I can knit with it and wear it. It's about to be winter. We are hitting colder nights here in Hartford, so it soon will be hat weather. There's that. So, and aside from having 3 finished objects, I also have a half object. Recognize my Tina Button Studios bag. These are the Scatterbee socks by, I wrote her name down, Amy Stringer, I believe it is. Yes. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. So I've got 1 sock finished. Actually, let me put it on my sock. So I think last time, well, I don't think, because I put a progress keeper in. Well, it's actually going to look a little weird on my sock blocker because they're for my mom and she has bigger feet. But when I showed it last, I was here, and I'm doing these toe ups. So I finished all this cuff, and then I've gotten, I believe, 11 repeats of the pattern, and I did 18. So I'm chugging along on these. These are for my mom. So I did 18 repeats of the pattern. You might be able to see it's kind of hanging off the front of the sock blocker here. She has larger feet than I do. Facial kiss heel. I believe I did 12 again rounds of 1x1 twisted red. So I've talked about these in detail the past couple of weeks. The yarn is Pupilo Fields standard sock in the surprise party colorway, which is just a lovely surprise of coolness. I really like this yarn. It's a nice variegated pop of color kind of thing. You did have some, it's funny that, you know, throughout the yarn there's no real pooling. Maybe a little bit down here of the white and the gray, but somehow I hit the heel and got a lot of pooling. There's just some white and gray there, which is always interesting to me, see how yarn pools and changes and stuff like that. But really, I mean, that's the back of the heel, so who cares? My mom will not. And it's all part of hand knit, hand dyed socks. So making progress on these. I imagine I will have these finished by the end of the week. I don't have a specific timeline for my mom. I mean, her birthday was almost a month ago now, but Scatterbee socks, free pattern, lots of fun, again, easy to memorize. Highly recommend that pattern, as well as Pupilo Fields, yet again, same dye that did these socks. man, it is so hard to keep a yarn diet when following her on Instagram. Her colorways are astoundingly gorgeous, and she's almost gotten me a couple times, but I've been really good lately. I have some acquisitions coming, which have dented the budget a little bit, but for the most part, I've been solid the past couple months. All right, and then I wanted to have something else to show you guys from a work in progress perspective, because I was like, really, all I've worked on is these socks. I worked on this consistently to finish it, then I worked on these I did this because I was like, I'm so tired of fingering weight yarn right now. I just need to do something. This lattice section was really, end product is beautiful, but to do that 4-row repeat where 2 of the rows are just yarn over, purl two together, it was just a hassle for a little bit there. So I knit this in like 2 days, not even 2 days. I mean, I started it Friday night and finished it Saturday. Or perhaps that's Saturday into Sunday, but either way, very, very quick knit, a couple of hours. And then I worked pretty much primarily on this until it was done. And then I worked pretty much primarily on these until it was done. And then I've been pretty much working primarily on that. So I woke up this morning and was like, alright, I want to do the podcast today, but I don't have anything to show. So started another project, Cast-On-itis. If you've been following me for a while, you may have recognized this. I think I talked about when I first started spinning this in episode 7, and then many months later when I actually did episode 8, talked about the finished product. It's looking like it's not, the color's not working for me right now, but oh, there we go. Alright, so this is hand spun that I spun on my spindle. The fiber was from Spun Right Round. It was the Gypsy colorway, which was a blend of merino and BFL. The kind of natural grayish color you see in there is the BFL, and all the colors are merino. So, as you can see, I'm not very good at being consistent with the width or weight of my yarn, but overall, it's fairly close to a bulky weight, so I decided to just cast on a simple hat. Started this morning. Same number of stitches as this guy, and then I'm just going to do a straight, I'm not going to do cables or anything on the top. So, got about 1 inch of, I think I'll do 4-inch rib again. There are a little over 100 grams in this skein, so I should have enough for a hat, no problem. But yeah, just cast that on. It's really interesting because right now the predominant color appears to be orange, but you can kind of tell as you get into this, you got some predominantly pink sections and predominantly purple sections, so it'll be interesting to see what the end product looks like. So I hope to have that done by the next time I talk to y'all, because that should not take me long at all. I don't have any acquisitions yarn-wise to share. I do have one yarn box, but I'm going to hold off on sharing that until I have a larger acquisition section. I do have some things coming in the mail, but I had some time today, so I wanted to get this done. Depending on when I get this uploaded and edited, I may insert an acquisition section here if time allows, so perhaps one here, but maybe not. I don't know what's coming up next for me for knitting. I think it's probably time to knit a sweater. I said that last year around this time and actually cast one on, but nothing ever came of it, so we shall see. I do have that big sweater that I need to finish for a friend, so maybe I'll work on that. It's Socktober, and my low-key goal for Socktober was to finish all my sock whips, so I had these on the needles at the beginning of October. This is done. And then the Scatterbee socks, those will be easily done in October. And then I have my Slippery Berry socks, which I meant to bring over here today, but I forgot. I want to say I'm about halfway up the foot on those, maybe a little bit more. And so maybe those will get done in October too. That way I am celebrating Socktober in all its glory. So that's good. Apparently all my family wants me to knit them socks now, so maybe I'll do that. I ordered yarn for the Aurora shawl, the fifth pattern in the Shawl Society by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. So I may work on that, although my mother and my roommate have said to me, maybe you should work on other things. You probably have enough shawls, which I think you can never have enough shawls, but maybe they're right. I'll insert some pictures here. My roommate's dad actually made me this really cool shawl hanging thing, which sits in my room and is right across from my bed, so I wake up every morning and see my hand knit shawls. So I'll put some pictures in here. It's just really nice to have that, but it's kind of getting a little bit bogged down, as you could probably tell from the pictures. So may I focus on socks and hats, and I do want to make some fingerless gloves at some point also. So we'll see what's next. Don't want to stop knitting. This is not a Catherine's last podcast talk or anything like that, but just fun projects. Not quite sure what I want to be working on next. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think that's it. Life-wise, things are going okay. Some family stuff happening, but it's all good. So fall's always busy for me, so we'll see what goes on next week. And my cousins from Seattle are coming, so really looking forward to seeing them. I did want to share these really cool coasters that I got. You may have sort of seen them on an Instagram post from a while back, but one of my favorite places, if not my favorite place to go in Spain, was La Alhambra, which is in Granada. It's this really cool, like, did I show these on the podcast? Oh, I forget. Well, I'll go back in and I'll edit it out if if I talked about these last time. So we'll see. Pause here if I talked about them. Here's the edit. Alright, but in case I didn't, here we go. So La Alhambra is this really cool, like, ancient, it was a city, it was a fortress, and it was a palace for, originally built for Muslim sultans, eventually overtaken by the Christian leaders, but originally built for Muslim. And they have these awesome, like, tile work and carved plaster work and just really beautiful and intricate stuff. And they also have some of this really neat work that just like this, like all these geometric patterns. So I bought these 3 tiles, or actually these are coasters. I actually bought 6 coasters, 2 of each of these 3 designs. So just a really cool, like, memory and design pattern, and I was really inspired by all, like, the geometric designs. It's really neat, and required so much skill, math skill to figure out the geometric patterns, and craftsmanship skill. So really nice memory. Wanted to share those since I had my cup of hot tea and needed a coaster. Alright, well, I think that is it for today. Been another fairly quick episode, which I think is fine. I hope that wherever you are having a wonderful day and that you enjoy what you're knitting. Talk to you soon.